So in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at this, and this is the MJJC Foam Cannon S V3. So I'm going to be taking you through the features and comparing it to the MJJC Foam Cannon Pro V2 to help you decide which to go for if you're looking to make a new foam cannon purchase. So starting off with the adjustability of the foam cannon, this has a dial on the top that you can use to adjust the amount of sort of snow foam in your tank that's being pulled up. So if you dial it back, then it's not going to draw up as much and the foam's going to be more diluted. Have it on max though, and it's going to pull up as much foam as possible. There's also plenty of adjustability on the front, like with the MJJC Pro V2. So you get a fan adjustment which has plenty of adjustability from a very wide fan pattern to actually really sort of narrow jet. And then you can also adjust that spray pattern, vertical, horizontal, or anywhere in between. The orifice that comes supplied is a 1.25mm orifice, which is standard for most pressure washers. However, you do also get a 1.1mm orifice too included, which you can swap out if you find that your pressure washer doesn't have a very good flow rate. This can help thicken up the foam. So it's really easy to actually swap those out. This is one of the main features of an MJJC foam cannon, like with the Pro V2, and that you just untwist this section here and the orifice is just sitting in there. You can just sort of screw that out and pop this back on. You don't need any PTFE tape, so it's really easy to do. So this portion here is what attaches the foam cannon to the pressure washer gun. So I've got the 1/4 inch connection, the quick connection. You can get this for pretty much any pressure washer, like Karcher, Nilfisk, etc. You can get this for pretty much anything. A nice feature that sets these MJJC foam cannons apart from a lot of brands really is this flexible pickup tube, which allows you to collect solution even if there's not really much left and you've got the foam cannon kind of tilted at an angle. Obviously this is going to move around based on gravity, so yeah, really handy. And then also it does have a weighted ball at the end, which is obviously going to help with that. But it also has a filter inside it too. So if you do happen to get any sort of debris when you're filling up your foam cannon, it's not going to end up blasting at your car. So it's really good if you say doing a contact wash on your vehicle and you're spraying shampoo on there and going to be actually washing it with a mitt. You do want to make sure there's no debris or grit getting sprayed onto the vehicle, so having that filter there is really handy. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the bottle designs here, as those are where the differences are really between the Pro V2 and the S V3. The head units are actually basically the same, there's just really the colour difference there. The pickup pipe is slightly different. Obviously you've got a blue one on the SV3 and a clear one on the Pro V2. The SV3 one, the blue one, feels a little bit more flexible, but personally I don't think this makes a huge impact on the sort of usability of the foam cannons. The main differences really are the bottles. So this one obviously has this clear style bottle, and this one has sort of a bit of a translucent one. Depending on what solution you're putting in there, you can sort of see where it is. But the measurements are obviously going to be a lot easier to see on this style bottle where you can see completely through it. They both have graduations on the side as well, up to the 1000ml mark, so that is really handy. But yeah, that's the main difference really in the bottle. The only thing to note here though on the SV3 is that this clear style bottle does generally tend to be less durable than this sort of thicker style. So there is a little bit of flex in this bottle. This you can't squeeze it at all, so potentially this is going to be a more durable option. If you are prone to sort of throwing your foam cannon about, I'd probably go for that style bottle personally. The next thing to consider is the opening at the top, which is really important for when you're pouring chemical in or emptying it back out. So they are both what I would consider a wider mouth, definitely compared to something like the PF22.2, but it's definitely much wider on the Pro V2 compared to the SV3. So it's going to be a little bit easier if you're pouring things like 5 litre bottles in there. But yeah, as I said, both of them are pretty easy to do so. The bottle is a little bit easier to grab on the SV3 as it has a little bit of a groove in it here, so you can sort of grab that quite easily. With this one, with it being so wide, obviously you can grab it here, but yeah, if you want to grab it here, it is a little bit tricky if you've got sort of small hands like I do. But yeah, most of the time when you're picking this up, you're going to be using the head unit, so not a huge feature to separate them in my opinion. Probably one of the more notable differences between these two foam cannons is how they actually attach to that head unit. So with the Pro V2, you just screw it on as you would normally, it's a threaded connection, whereas with this SV3 it's a little bit different. So it has a twist style connection where it just seats really easily, so it's just a lot quicker to actually attach. It's actually a really nice feature, I do really like that about this one. Obviously if you're emptying it and refilling it a lot, then yeah, that is going to make a little bit of a difference to you. So as I said, these have the same head unit, so I will be doing a foam test, but really the foam production is identical with them both. The main differences that I've spotted really here are the connection type on the top. So an advantage for the SV3 is really that you're getting this easy sort of connection on the top, which I do like. The clear bottle, I personally do think it's an advantage as it's easier to see the measurements. Some people are going to think it's a disadvantage as it's not quite as durable material. I would say the main advantages of picking the Pro V2 really are the wider mouth, makes it a little bit easier to pour, and also I found it's more leak proof if you're tipping it upside down, so that is something to consider as well. And it just has that sturdier base, so if you're more accident prone and you're sloshing your chemicals about as you're pouring them in, the Pro V2 is going to be the option. Whereas, say, if you really like the colour blue, I think this is a little bit of a nicer design personally, I think it looks a little bit cooler, then you're going to want the SV3, but those are really the only notable differences that I've at least noticed between the two. In terms of foam production, I do think these are identical. I will jump into a test now where we can compare the two and you can kind of see what the foam looks like with both these cannons. So what I'm doing here is mixing up Stjarnagloss Snow at a 1:10 dilution. So I'm putting in 50ml of snow foam to 500ml of water. And I'm just going to split that evenly between these two foam cannons so that they're dealing with the exact same solution and there's no variability in terms of the dilution. It's worth noting here too that I have put a fresh filter in the MJJC Foam Cannon Pro version 2, as my Pro V2 is a bit older, so I didn't want to introduce any variability. So they're both as new as I could make them here and the test is as fair as possible. I'm also rocking a 1.25mm Orifice in both foam cannons, and I'm using a Kranzle K10 pressure washer. Rinse down the funnel first to start with so there's a nice even surface on both sides. And as you can tell, the foam production looks the same to me. Really can't see any difference here, which isn't a big surprise considering that they both have the same head unit and new filters. Just to show you another example, I am testing this again here using the Garage Therapy Snow Foam, which is a relatively thin snow foam, at least in comparison to Stjarnagloss Snow that I was using previously. Again though, I just went for that 1:10 dilution, 50ml of snow foam to 500ml of water, and no difference here either. The foam was still reasonably thick, which is to be expected from these MJJC foam cannons now, especially when that dial on the top is set to the maximum, so it's pulling up as much foam as possible from the tank and putting it onto the car. So at the time of making this video, the price of these is either identical or this one's a touch more depending on where you look. So it really depends which one kind of you're after. The price difference isn't massive between the two, so I just pick the one you like the most. I don't think price is a massive consideration to make here. What I will do is pop a link to these in the description for a few different locations so you can check out those prices and pick one up if you're interested. If you have enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could drop it a like, and thanks for watching.